Hey guys, just wanted to get this first segment out to you about some of the recruiting questions that people have sent via email and text message. So thank you to those that have reached out to get this thing going. I wanted to get um, this out to people so that it can help ease some anxieties for people and let them know the things that they should be doing now and in the future, the things that we do as a coaching staff to help ease the process of recruiting and colleges and all that good stuff. I do want to start. This is a very confusing thing, the recruiting process, especially now with COVID-19 going on. I was on the phone this morning with a college coach who had offered one of our 2021 players a scholarship last week, and the kid, appreciated the offer, didn't accept it right away, wanted to sleep on it for a little while, wanted to talk to a couple other schools that were recruiting him, and he called them this morning, and they said that they were full, that the scholarship was accepted by another player, so that player was out of a scholarship offer. So with all of this that I want to touch on, it's even more daring, polarizing due to COVID-19. The NJCAA, the junior college, just announced that 2021 will also not count towards players' eligibilities. And last year, obviously, what didn't count either because I think some schools only got 5, 6, 7, 8 games in, and they didn't hold that against their eligibility. So, and compounding that, they just announced, like I said, that 2021 will also not count towards eligibility. So that really puts college coaches' rosters at an all-time premium. So basically, with where we're at with my 2021s, we are going to try to get them committed basically as soon as possible. We don't know how many roster spots are going to be open. On a normal year, there's not a lot of roster spots. Junior colleges often have more than a four-year school does. But just with everything going on with COVID, we don't know what's going to happen. Typically a kid that might have 3 or 4 or 5 scholarship offers from different schools may have one these days. They may not have any. So it's really unfortunately, it's the worst time for recruiting, at least since I've been doing it, and it's going on 12, 13 years of doing this. So we've got some challenges ahead, but we'll try to sift through it the best we can. One question I got it's a vague question, and it said, "How does the recruiting process work?" There's no one way that it works. I think it's 227 kids I've helped directly into college baseball at all levels: Division One, Two, Three, NAIA, and junior college, and all the different levels through the junior college. Division One, Division Two, and Division Three junior colleges. Um, it doesn't work one particular way. I've had some kids. A college coach sees a kid playing a game in a tournament, and the kid does really well, and the college recruits him. I've had it where I've knocked down a door, called a coach and emailed a coach, and really promoted a kid and gotten a kid there. It's been so many different ways. So it's impossible to say, how does this work? Out of the 227 kids or whatever it's been, every one of those has been a different process. There's been some kids a coach has seen him play in one of our games, and I never met the coach. Maybe I handed him a roster sheet, and that coaching staff reached out to that player and didn't call me initially, and just talked to the player and the family, and developed a relationship that way without me kind of being the middleman, which is fine. I don't typically like that route because I like to get to know college coaches, and I always like to see that those coaches are are really doing their research and due diligence on a player, and who better to, to talk to than his current coach or somebody that's coached him in the past. But that does often happen where they get the player's name and info from me, and that's basically what I do. But then there's also been times where I've been on phone calls and text messages for hours upon hours with certain coaches or a coach about a player, and it works that way where I'm kind of the middleman, kind of talking to the player and the coach and relaying information depending on dead periods, things like that. So I mean, it's happened all over the place. I've had some players that really blew up at a prep baseball report event, perfect game event where it was just through a showcase. Every college coach I know is privy to that information through perfect game, through prep baseball report. That stuff is extremely important to do in this day and age. Recently, we had a player that played with us this past year and played in some good fall tournaments, and he was featured on a prep baseball report show, and now he's got 5-6 Power 5 conference schools recruiting him, and just got his first offer last night. Actually, the kid texted me and was pretty excited about it. And I haven't talked to any of those coaches, but he was seen through PBR, through a segment they do with a couple guys, and that features some of the best players that they see at tournaments. And so that's how the process got started with him. And I'm assuming through the next couple months I'll get a couple calls from those coaches, and so they can do their research on the kid's background. They're going to ask me, is he coachable? What kind of teammate is he? How does he practice? Does he hustle? How are his grades? What kind of personality does he have? Things like that. So I'm looking forward to those phone calls and helping that player out as much as I can. A couple other questions I got. Who initiates the contact? And kind of going back to my answers before, it's different for everybody. I mean, if you're a kid that is a sophomore, a freshman or sophomore, and you're fortunate enough and have the ability and the talent to be recruited early by some big schools, they're likely going to contact you. If you get further into your career, late into your junior year, into your senior year, and you don't have some of the looks and contacts that you might have wanted by that time, you might have to start making some contacts. But it's never bad to contact coaches. I would say to keep it within reason, and I wouldn't contact 100 different schools. I'd really try to pinpoint it, find out what your grades are, where you would fit academically, find out what majors those different schools offer, and see if they fall into your strengths as a student. Things like that are all really important to discern. How should a player contact a coach? I would say an email, a nice short quick email with a video on it. Obviously we do videos for players. You can do some on your own. I'd recommend doing it through us. It looks a little bit more professional. And the other thing too is you don't want to make too long of a recruiting video. If you look at even the prep baseball report videos, they have 6 to 10 swings on there. They've got 5 or 6 ground balls, and they show the kid running a 60-yard dash. I would say anything more than 2 minutes would be too long of a video. Basically, those videos are gonna either entice a coach to pursue that player or not. I do the same thing sometimes too when I go on some of those sites and there's a player that I maybe want for my program. So it's the same thing that a college coach would do for theirs. So it's just it's kind of a break in the ice thing. Hey, I'm interested in this kid, or I want to see this kid play more, or I really like this kid and I want to contact him as soon as possible. So definitely no more than 2 minutes for a video. Does a player's GPA factor into the recruiting process? Absolutely. There's some. I know at the Division 1 level, I believe it's a 27 ACT. If you get a 27 ACT or higher, that it's like automatically a big percentage of money off of your tuition, and it also can save schools money as far as their sport budget, as far as their scholarships are concerned. Obviously, baseball doesn't have that many. They have just under 12 scholarships that they disperse between usually 25 players. Usually there's 30 or so on the roster, 30 to 35. It looks like that's going to be a lot more because of COVID-19. But certainly, I had a player that actually went to play college football. He was a quarterback, and he went to Division 1 school right out of high school. He didn't play. He ended up. I think that was kind of the plan from the beginning. But he's back at a D3 school playing quarterback now. But he was a really high ACT, and I know that he was recruited based on his ACT. His scores and his GPA and all that kind of that stuff. It helped the team overall GPA. So things like that can help entice schools recruit a player, and obviously having good grades and that stuff does more often than not show a kid's character and all that kind of stuff. So that certainly plays a factor in it. A couple other things that I got. Let's see. When do you start making a video? Usually by, I would say, your sophomore year. I mean, again, it all depends on your ability level. I've had, I this past summer I did a video for one of our 8th graders. He's pretty advanced. His body is advanced. Advanced hitter. A kid that could be an early recruit kid. But I've also not done videos till a kid is a junior. I've done some when they're a senior. It all depends on the kid's maturity level, their body, their physique, all that kind of stuff. So that varies per player. If you want to talk to me about that individually, just shoot me an email or a text message, and I can let you know what would probably be the best time, or when would be the best time for your specific son. A couple other things here. Should I look at schools that have a players major? Certainly, that's a huge thing, but I don't think that's a huge thing right out of the gate. Like for example, there's some kids that go play junior college baseball. If you go to a 4-year school, your first 2 years you're going to be doing your gen eds, they call them, general education classes. A lot of the kids that go to junior college take those at the junior college, and then when they transfer their junior year, their 3rd year into the 4-year school, then they have to declare a major and do it that way. So it's certainly a factor, but I don't want it to be it's a do or die type deal where you have to go to a particular school right away, because everyone's going to have to take those gen eds, whether it's at a junior college, 4-year school, NAIA school anyway. So that's a good question, but again, that's kind of where we're here, to help sift through those questions on an individual basis. Another question: what are 3 things that we should be doing right now? So it's late October. We're starting our indoor training here in about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. On my list, I said number 1, get stronger, get more flexible. Oftentimes when we get into this sphere of our junior year and recruiting, we often tend to forget the number 1 thing that we need to do, especially as players, is to just keep getting better. Improving your skills, improving your just not your skills on the baseball field, but just your life skills, your decision making skills. In baseball terms, your body, getting in a weight room right now, stretching, getting flexible. We have seen flexibility or lack thereof become a really bad thing these days, as far as kids being able to get to their highest level that they can. We have some kids that are strong, but they're not flexible. You need a combination of strength and flexibility in baseball, especially as pitchers. So that's a thing that has become lost in the last 5-10 years. So flexibility is super important. In the meantime, with schools, if you're a junior, if you're a 2022 grad, I would recommend contacting or getting a list together of 3 to 5 schools that you could really see yourself at. There's some other things that you have to sift through and think about is the proximity of the school. Do you want to stay in state? Do you want to stay in the Midwest, or are you okay going really far away where it's going to have to be a plane ride for you or your parents? Do you want to play down south where it's warmer? So there's so many different factors. There's coaches, playing time. Do you want to play right away? Or is it a school that you could go to, but you might not play right away? You might be sitting, or you might have to redshirt a year and get stronger and faster. Those are all things that you have to sift through. But certainly start contacting 3 to 5 schools that you could see yourself playing at. Be realistic with yourself. If you're a junior, it's going to be tough to go to Vanderbilt at this point. It's not impossible, but it's certainly, I know that a lot of those schools are recruiting 7th and 8th graders these days. So, be realistic with yourself. If you want, my opinion on any of that stuff, you guys can always contact me via email, text message. You know how to get a hold of me. Let's see here. I'm missing one. When do you start making a video? How long should the video be? Should a player look at schools based on his intended major? Do I recommend going for players to go to school camps? Absolutely. Those are especially bigger schools. I know a lot of those want to get to know you more personally at those camps. We've had some kids go to some pretty big schools, some ACC schools, SEC schools, and those kids have all gone down and gotten in, right in front of those coaches, in their camps. I know a lot of those coaches in schools have those camps throughout the winter, especially those schools a little further down south, because they're able to with the nicer weather. But that is certainly an important aspect to getting in front of people. I mean, there's no better way to get in front of people than literally going to their camps, and their coaches are going to be talking with you and conversing with you and watching them play up close. So obviously those things cost money. Those camps aren't free. It's usually a way for schools to fundraise and get some money into the program. Obviously you got to find a way down there, whether it's driving, flying. So it's definitely something that is costs money. But this is a one-time process, and it's one of the most important decisions of your life. So it's certainly worth it in the grand scheme of things. And the last question that I had written down here, another one from one of the parents, is recruiting scaled back because of COVID. And I know I touched on that, but I can't be any more clear on that going forward. It's a scary time right now, just with COVID. It's a scary time not knowing how many kids at the junior college level, all the levels, Division I, Division II, which ones are going to opt to stay the extra year, and sometimes 2 extra years now, that the NJCAA just announced last, I think Thursday it was. Going back to that story about that happened with the kid this morning, it's concerning. And I hate saying it, this is going to be a 3 to 4 to 5 year process until this goes through. So even kids down to our 13-12U, we're going to see effects of this for years to come, just based on roster spots. I'm hoping that the NCAA, the NJCAA soon will come up with an announcement on expanding scholarships, expanding roster spots, because if they don't, there's going to be a huge flood in every level of college baseball, with people getting extra years, sometimes 2 years extra of eligibility. So this isn't the greatest times, but like I said, we will help you get through it. I would say, if you get a nice scholarship offer from a good school, it's one of those times now. You might want to pull the trigger, because we don't know exactly what else is out there, with the limitations and lesser roster spots, and recruiting just taking a huge hit because of all this. So that's I'll leave it there. I don't want to get too long-winded. I hope I answered most of the initial questions. If anyone else has any other questions on the recruiting process, I can just send me an email. If I get to 7, 8, 9, 10 questions, I'll do another 10, 15, 20-minute video, and hopefully you can answer all of them. And in the meantime, if any other questions pop up, with your son individually, or any recommendations that you think, or that I can give him or you on where I think he could play or should play, or where he should look, I will certainly do that. So give me a call, shoot me a text, and we'll talk to you guys later.